Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order for Thursday, October 20th. Please stand with me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask everyone, as always, to please double check phones, electronic devices, make sure they're not in the ring mode. I'm smiling because I broke my own rule during the budget workshop meeting and my phone rang. So we did have one executive session. That executive session was held on 10/13 from 9:25 until approximately 10:30. That executive session was for police personnel matters. This meeting was duly advertised in the Lancaster newspaper on December 1st, 2021. And we are at past meeting minutes for approval. So the first one we'll do here, gentlemen, is the Board of Supervisors meeting from October 6th. Are there any corrections, any changes, typos, anything like that?
Yes, on page 8, I noticed that I guess one of you gentlemen made a change there on the public comment as listed. First sentence there was a change. Was that you, Lorenzo, or URC?
Which comment?
Says it, Alan Maxwell expressed concerns.
Yeah.
We've been, over the years, this has been talked to death about meeting minutes and having just a brief synopsis without going into details. What was wrong with it previously that we needed to go into expressive details about what was said there?
I don't think that's expressive details. The meeting minutes, according to the second-class township code, should reflect what the public stated. If the public made a comment during a meeting, it should reflect what they stated.
And I'll just read it as listed. It says Alan Maxwell expressed concerns on the manager's search that has been going on for a while, lacked a sense of urgency, and the current headhunting firm not doing their job properly. So a new headhunting firm should be used. Discussion continued. Well, I liken that to, you go down 2 more sentences here. Doug Mackley questioned the manager candidates. Chairman Carrasco answered. That's the kind of brevity that I would expect all the way through, rather than a run-on sentence as was listed. I would like to see that change to Alan Maxwell expressed concerns about the manager's search, questions and answers, similar to other statements in the meeting minutes. We got 8 pages of meeting minutes here. I don't think we need more, but that's just me.
Okay.
We're also missing a part that I got questioned about, the vehicle for sale. So that's not in there either. But I just pointed that out as I was reading it. So.
Okay, so those are 2 different things.
Correct. So I'm pointing that out as you just pulled that up. So.
What's your thoughts on this statement as read?
It's a pretty accurate reflection.
It's a detail, and others also.
So the meeting minutes should not be an accurate reflection of what was discussed.
Well,
Okay.
why don't we list what Doug Mackley said about the manager's search?
We could.
Why don't we list what the resident said about the car that we shouldn't?
Lorenzo can amend that.
So it's just that kind of detail that in the past it's been talked about. And, my opinion,
Well-
this meeting minutes should be a synopsis.
Well, this meeting minutes then, if you're gonna alter that, it doesn't, it's all reflected in the effort of review today, in
Yeah.
detail.
I didn't see that. Anybody that wants detail can look at YouTube, and it's all right there, as discussed.
So what are we gonna do with the meeting minutes going forward? What are you recommending then? We just make them as brief as possible? Because you also referenced it's 8 pages long, it's too long. It was a long meeting.
It was a long meeting.
There was a
And
lot that was accomplished.
Looking through the meeting minutes, I saw nothing else that could have been brief. Lorenzo brought up about the car. There's nothing mentioned about that. So, it's a little subjective, I'll give you that, but, I thought there was enough there prior to the correction, but that's my opinion. Any thoughts, Lorenzo?
My opinion, the shorter the better. They have YouTube. If someone questions it, they can go to YouTube and watch it as well. It is very detailed. There's multiple other people that ask questions as well, and it's only a paragraph there. Probably should be half a page with what everyone else said as well. So I'm okay with that change. And the addition of the Impala, why we just didn't sell it for
Okay, so,
$13.50.
all right, so let's be clear here.
What page was that on?
It's missing from page 8.
So, okay, so let's be clear, those are 2 items then, all right?
Mhm.
So, Jeff, how would you like that worded?
Alan Maxwell expressed concerns on the manager search. Questions were answered.
Do you agree with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so now we can go on to the second one.
Lisa's gonna have to find the name of the resident of the car. If I'm not mistaken, his name was Russ. Question why we didn't sell the car for $13.50. Questions were answered, period, in the story. You gentlemen are okay with that? That's the change I'd like.
Yeah, well, we came in and spoke about it for 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, so do we have a motion then? For the minutes with those 2 changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Thursday, October 6th, 2022 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes with those 2 changes.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries. Next item. The workshop meeting, for the board's approval of the meeting minutes.
I got nothing.
I didn't have this.
No, I don't have anything there either.
I'll make a motion to approve Thursday, October 13th, 2022 Board of Supervisor workshop meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, land planning engineering, there are none for tonight. So we are on to Hoover Truck Repair, Mr. Yoder.
All right, thank you. Good evening,
Good
gentlemen.
evening.
Good morning, good. You can look at me. Good to be back. I'm joined tonight by, I meant that honestly. Tony, you know Tony, he's at Bright Rock Builders now, and Jeff Hoover is here from Hoover Truck Repair, and Zach, and not sure your name, but Josh, okay. So I have the whole crew here, and I think you might know I had sent a letter a few weeks ago about exploring the possibility of a text amendment to the ordinance to allow in the C1 district the repair and service of trucks. And so really what I'm here tonight is to give a little introduction about what we might be proposing and hopefully get some feedback from the board to see if it's something that we should proceed As the board knows, the process requires us to submit a petition that would then be received by the supervisors and forwarded on to the planning commission, but the township and the county for their review and recommendation. And then it comes back for a public hearing before the supervisors. I always like to get a sense from the elected officials if they have really any interest in considering it. Obviously, there's no requirement to give a position tonight, but if everybody says we have no interest in this, then I'd like to save my clients some money and not go through the whole process. So that's what I'd like to do this evening, and just get a sense if this is something the board is willing to consider. Obviously, no guarantees on anything, or if it's just something that doesn't seem to be something you want to consider. Did have a meeting with township staff a few weeks ago to just kind of look at what is being proposed. Obviously, the zoning is the thing that kind of jumped out at first, and unless we get that resolved, I don't think this location is going to work. So I do have some handouts here that I'll just circulate. Pictures. Probably the easiest thing is I'll just walk through some of these handouts, which I think will give you a sense of. You don't like the pictures?
That's not fair. The world's biggest tractor is not coming to East Cocalico Township.
Wow. So if you look at the first exhibit, and Jeff and Zach can also provide some input, but Hoover Truck Repair is currently located at 539 Stevens Road. I think that's in Ephrata Township. So not too far from here, and there's a picture there of their site. They service not just trucks, but cars and vehicles, and essentially they're operating. So they're looking to relocate their business to a larger property. If you get to the second exhibit, this will show you the location that they're proposing. It's a little hard because of the color, but there's a red arrow to the bottom left, and then there's an X. And this is obviously the township zoning map, and you can see that that's in the general commercial district. That's the property they're looking at. I think maybe Steve owns that property. And so that is the location that they've done some preliminary sketch work design on it just to see how the property could be used. If you look at the next page on Exhibit 2 there, that gives you the aerial, and it's the circle with the blue dot in the middle that shows you the location. So that should just orient the board at the property. Obviously, when you're looking at a text amendment, it doesn't just apply to that property. It would allow truck repair in your entire general commercial district. So if you flip back to the other page, that's the red area. The red area seems to follow pretty much 272. That's your commercial and your corridor. So that would be the area that would be affected. Following the aerial map, I just cut and paste some provisions of the ordinance to just explain a little bit what we would be looking for. So currently in the C1 district, automobile, boat, farm machinery, recreational vehicle, and trailer sales, service, and or repair facilities is permitted by special exception, which means you have to go to the zoning hearing board, but the use is permitted as long as you meet those requirements of 220-69, which are fairly extensive, frankly. There's A through, if you look at the next two pages, A through V. And so that's the C1 district. That's what's allowed currently. And if you then flip back a few pages, you will see the special exception uses in the light industrial zone. And in the light industrial zone, the same automobile, boat, farm machinery, and recreational vehicle, trailer sales and service is permitted, similar to what we just saw in the C1 district. But then there's another use under light industrial C4 for heavy equipment sales, service, and repair, such as excavation, machinery, commercial trucks, tractor trailers, buses, mobile homes, and other similar machines. This proposed use probably falls more closely with the heavy equipment sales service, even though they do some vehicle sales. So in talking with Sharon, and I agree with her, it did not appear that the proposed use would fit in the C1 district as it is written. So that hence the problem and the reason we are here. I will note that when you look at the requirements for heavy equipment sales, service, and repair, it's only A through F, which is kind of surprising, frankly. The actual restrictions on those are much less than the restrictions on the automobile, boat, farm machinery, recreation vehicle, trailer sales and services. And I think that's important just because to the extent there's a willingness to consider a text amendment, we would have the more rigorous standards apply to any use in C1 district that would involve trucks and trailers in addition to farm machinery. If you look at Exhibit 3, this just gives you an idea of what is being proposed for the site. This is very preliminary. Obviously, they don't want to do too much design work until they know the zoning, if they can get the zoning in place. But as you can see, it would allow for a building, plenty of parking, and I think it actually fits in. There's a power line that runs through that property, so it would be a good use of the property and have good access. Obviously, 272 is a corridor with some challenges in terms of access, so they have to work with PennDOT, and I'm sure you're well aware of that process. So that would be something that would come later. Exhibit 4 is just an exhibit that we prepared to provide kind of an idea to the supervisors that even though there's this commercial district that doesn't allow apparently heavy truck repair and things like that, there's been a number of uses in the commercial district over the years that have been allowed. So for example, Fleet Pride Heavy Duty Parts and Services, formerly Guard Spot Frame, that's essentially what they do. It's in the commercial district. Stone Industrial Services. So there's a number of things, and I see this in a lot of municipalities where their commercial and light industrial districts tend to overlap a fair amount, and I think you've seen that happen in practice, if not in the ordinance itself. The other thing is that, similar to other municipalities, with older ordinances, this change was made to the ordinance in 2008. And so there's been some revisions. When you look at the ordinance, they added the vehicle and farm machinery to the C1 and LI in 2008. And they only allow the heavy truck repair in the LI district in 2008. I have no idea the background why that decision was made, but it doesn't surprise me over the years that sometimes those decisions are made without really maybe thinking too much that the practical differences between those two category of uses, which takes me to my last exhibit and Mr. Mitchell's comments about the equipment, and these are local farm equipment, but I think the one thing I would just mention is the ordinance makes this distinction between farm equipment and trucks and heavy, like excavating equipment. The reality of it is, the engines are the same size, the tractors are the same size, and so these are just a few of the pictures of equipment that you find in Lancaster County. So at the end of the day, what we'd like to do is work with township staff to have a limited text amendment that would allow the repair of trucks and trailers in your C1 district, we would make those additional conditions that are already there. I don't think it's a big change from what is already allowed in the C1 district in terms of farm equipment and other machinery. And frankly, farm equipment often involves trucks that are being repaired at Hoover Truck Repair, because, you know, if you're out working the fields, you have the same kind of equipment. Jeff, did you want to say anything about your business, or Tony, anything that you wanted to add?
Well, I've been doing it for 25 years, and we serve local businesses, Stevens Feed Mill, Gaiman's Feed Mill, a lot of local businesses, all of them. We need more room, we need more space in we rent a facility for 25 years, and our landlord would like to have more room for future growing, and would like us to have another place, so we're at a time crunch also. We'd like to move.
Really, what I'm just hoping is to get a sense from the board if this is something that we should proceed. Like I said, the next step would be a petition that we would prepare, and we look forward that. We did go to the planning commission. Seemed like some members were okay with the idea. At least one member, I think, raised some questions about whether changing it. So I couldn't get a sense one way or the other. They didn't, I don't think, give a formal kind of recommendation, but we felt it was worth coming to the supervisors to see if we had any thoughts or guidance for us in terms of whether we should proceed, or if this is something that you feel you're not willing to really consider. And I'll just mention, this is what we call a legislative decision, so it's a policy decision. It's totally in your discretion to determine if this is something you want to consider. Happy to answer any questions.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I understand what you're asking here. I see what your comparisons are. You know, I myself would like to do just a little more research before, you know, I give something solid up or down. But there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that in the near future.
Sure. And I just want to clarify that I would not expect that there would be any decision, and I would never hold a supervisor to, you know, a comment at this point if they say, well, yeah, go ahead and submit your petition, and then they vote against it. That's the risk we run, right? So I just want to be clear. I think it's more, if it's like over my dead body, I'm never going to vote on this, then just let me know that now. And so, you know, we will look for another site. But if it's like, yeah, we consider this, I don't know if I vote for it or not, you know, that's probably enough. And I'm not asking for that tonight, but that's really the kind of feedback that we get.
I understand the comparisons you're making. I understand where you're going with this. Like a little bit of time that.
Miranda?
That's a tricky property to begin with. So I'd personally, I'd say go ahead for the petition. I'd be open to it. Considering it's one huge property with a big power line going down the middle, it's going to be limited to one person building one big building there, and probably not be able to use where the easements for the power line and all that is. So I think doing this, splitting it up, would be a great idea. But again, I'm not saying yes or no, but that's where I feel with it.
All right, appreciate it. That's helpful.
Hey, Mr. Yoder, just a couple of quick questions for me. So this is where I actually agree with you in the aspect of the way the ordinance is, the way it's written, right? So are they gonna be doing truck sales there or just repairs? Because the reason I ask is because it references heavy equipment sales, maintenance, repairs,
Right.
right? So they kind of blended all that together.
Yeah.
So that's the question I have. Is it,
I don't know. Do you do
Generally have to.
So I
I'm sorry.
don't think they do it now, and I don't think they're planning
We
to.
aren't planning on it.
But if that's required, I guess that they could.
no, it's just a clarification
Yeah, no,
question
I
for
don't
me.
think
In terms of the way that the operation is now,
No, we don't. Sell.
the intent is not to do sales.
That's right.
Okay. And that leads into my second question, which is it kind of overlaps a little bit of what Lorenzo was saying, was the way that lot is designed, and I'm looking at Tony here, it's tight.
It is.
So that's why I was asking about if there were gonna be sales, how could you fit sales in there at all, as tight as that is? Because I've got it here on the computer and I blew it up. Sorry, Mr. Yoder, it was easier to me to look at it. Even on your paper.
That's good.
It's really tight to get in there, and then the station units there for sale.
On the design drawing, or existing base design drawing, we're aware of the lateral access to the property, so we
Yeah.
incorporated that. And this is, we've also said that possibly these driveways can be shared and linked to the next door neighbor. Mr. Hoover is purchasing roughly just shy of a 10-acre parcel, and part of the land development process is to move that one southern property line so that it is parallel with the power line. So both properties share a portion of that easement, not just one applicant saddled with that whole hardship. So that's part of the process also. Just for clarification.
Perfect, thank you. So I will say conceptually, it makes sense. Because we do have concurring type businesses along that road, that stretch. In my opinion, strictly my opinion, conceptually, it does make sense.
Well, again, as I said, we're just trying to get some feedback whether we should proceed or not, and we understand that planning commission will make a formal recommendation that you will consider, the county will make a formal recommendation, there'll be a public hearing, so there's gonna be a lot more input. And Mr. Mitchell, if there's any additional information that you think we should consider, I mean, we're happy to do that. I think my proposal would be to craft a fairly narrow text amendment, with inputs from staff to be sure that it's usually the concern that supervisors have is unintended consequences. They look at this site and they say, that looks great, but they're thinking about all the other sites. And I understand that. So, there are sometimes some things and conditions you can put in the text amendment to limit where that goes. And then in the future, you can always adjust those some more, but it's like a little bit of baby steps. And that's what I would propose here, so that it doesn't just open everything up all of a sudden, and then, you're like, whoa, we like this project, but we don't like this other one that's coming.
If you don't mind, let me open it up to the public. Are there any questions from the public on this one, or comments? Okay.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Okay. Next item that we have is the East Cocalico Authority, the Water Authority, the rental agreement for 2023.
I think we should table that to the November 3rd meeting, since the authority is only meeting on the 25th. I don't think they even got a chance to talk about it. What do you guys think?
I think maybe there needs to be a little bit of clarification here. We talked about a 5% increase. Well, that becomes $48.75 a month. perhaps the intent should be an even $50 on a monthly fee, and I think that's part of what Lisa had in the packet there, which, looking for clarification from the board, which way we're leaning on that, 5% or the $50.
I'm not going to clarify, I don't want to raise it at all, so
Yeah,
that's between
okay.
you and Lorenzo.
That's fine.
Just to keep numbers even and no change, I'd say just bring it up to the $50.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Okay.
So that's a change that Lisa should make to present to them, so they have it for their October 25th meeting.
Probably next week.
It's October 25th.
There's
I wrote it down. It's October 25th, and then we can vote on it
at our next meeting.
November 3rd.
That gives them the courtesy to look at it before.
You want to make that motion then, or make it straight $50, or what?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make a motion to present to the East Cocalico Township Water and Sewer Authority rental agreement for the year 2023, reflecting a $50 a month increase.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Doug Mack, you made a motion at the last meeting to make it 5%, correct?
That's correct.
When did this change? What public meeting did you just change this at?
We just did now.
You just did now, it wasn't on
This-
the
this-
agenda.
This hasn't been presented to the authority.
That was on the agenda, correct?
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
To go to $50?
A proposed 5% increase.
And I revert back to the last meeting, that's what it was, 5%, now it's up. I'm just trying to keep you guys out of trouble.
That's fine. I guess if our solicitor was here, I would ask him what his thoughts were.
He's here via Zoom.
Is it Matt or Bernadette?
It's Matt. I'm on the Zoom.
Okay. Did you hear the question, Matt?
State it again, please.
Doug?
At the last meeting, the supervisors made a motion to up the rent, proposed rent to the authority by 5%, which was $48 and change. And they just now discussed it, Matt, they want to change it to 50. So they made another motion. They have to rescind the prior motion, don't they? There's two motions on the floor.
I guess in a hyper-technical sense, a motion to reconsider might be the appropriate motion, and then to vote on a new motion. However, Robert's Rules of Order are not the law, and frequently things are done in a consensus setting that leads to a final vote. So it's not a sunshine law issue because, as Mr. Mitchell points out, everything was done in a public meeting. It's more a process or procedure question, and I'm a little more lenient on that because I believe in consensus decision-making. There's no requirement that the board follow a formal set of rules. Actually just read that yesterday because I was researching something for another municipality.
So Matt, we have a motion on the floor to, instead of having a 5% increase, it being a $50 a month increase.
And I think that's an adequate motion because it reflects the fact that you're rescinding your prior decision and making a new decision, if of course there's a majority vote on this, and does it all in one motion. Again, formal rules are not the law. So I'm fine with that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Move ahead.
All right, any other questions or comments on this one? Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? So motion passes 2-1. Okay, the next item we have is Department Reports Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All the officers went through intoxilizer training, so the new device has been in service since the first training. But we are, have all the officers that could take the training certified. The 2 new officers will be going to the week-long training on the new device because they were not previously trained on the other. I guess it would actually be 3 officers. We had our first use of force training session on October 11th. The rest of the department will go in November. This is not required by MOPEC. That was the other use of force training that was across the state. 2 of our officers went and got certified on that specific training. And what we're going to do, or what MOPEC's going to do, next year is they're going to incorporate that training into our yearly use of force training. So Officer Weaver and Officer Stauffer are certified instructors, and so they are continually going to training and then training our officers in use of force, which is a very important aspect of police work. The first day of firearms training, this wasn't qualification specifically, this is the second round of firearms training. There's a Cushing Peak, which we are very grateful they allow us to use that facility just in the Berks County. The second part of that for the rest of the department will occur in November, and we will also, coming up, be going to the Lancaster County Training Center to utilize the county range. We utilize that for low light firearms training. So it's much easier to go there and basically turn the lights out instead of waiting till dark to shoot at a range, which isn't the safest thing in the world. I know it sounds crazy shooting in the dark, but the lights are controlled by another officer that's trained on the range, and it's coordinated between Corporal Walsh and that officer. So that is going on. There's a lot of training going on. Officer Johnson, Officer Everly, tomorrow will complete their crisis intervention training, which occurs at the training center, which I'm very thankful to Lancaster County Adult Probation. One of their administrators is in charge of that, and they are continually having classes, so we're able to hopefully eventually next year get all our officers certified as crisis intervention specialists. If everyone would keep in mind that Monday, October 31st, is trick-or-treat night. So from 6 to 8, there will be young ones and adults walking around throughout the community. And we will be out, I think as of right now, there's 4, looking to get possibly a 5th officer to do what we've done for many years in reference to handing out the little flashing lights, the red and blue lights, for the young ones to put on their costumes so they can be more visible when it gets dark for cars and others as they walk around trick-or-treating. I bought, it was $186 worth of candy. I think it was 11 bags of big bags of candy at Costco. So we are stocked and ready to go. Officer Fisher will be doing the trunk or treat event at the Cocalico Middle School on Saturday. And we will be having one officer and possibly another who's working stop at Al's Garage is also doing the trunk or treat. We've done that in the past. We take the cruiser up, kids all through it, and hand out a bunch of candy there too. So the dentists don't like us, but the kids love us. That's what we're doing.
And the orthodontists.
Well, that's true.
And you take the keys out.
Yes, and then on the rifles out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Finally, as I'm sure everyone has heard, the fatal crash that occurred on 2/22 on September 27th, we were assisted by the some of the members of the Lancaster County crash team. Basically, Lancaster County has 3 or 4 crash teams. It's divided up into areas of the county: northwest side, northeast side, metro side, and then down in the south. I think the 4th team is. I might be mistaken on the numbers exactly, but basically it's trained officers in accident reconstruction who get the call and come and assist those departments that need it. We currently have 2 officers that were trained in the second portion of that for accident reconstruction. And the other officer who has the first class, who's injured and couldn't go to the second one, will be going to the second one next June. And then all 3 officers will be going to level 3, which is the final level, and I think that's in October of next year. Prior to that, to get some experience for those 3 officers, they have agreed to join the Lancaster County crash team for the Northeast part. So if they get called out anytime, day or night, and they're available, they will go out. And that experience before they complete their level 3 training, it's hands-on experience. It's not just classroom stuff. So they will see and learn hands-on, which is very nice that the crash team for the county is willing to do that. And we also have a total station, which the county has 3 of those stationed throughout the county. And I'm working with the county detective in charge of the crash teams to see if they can utilize our total station also. So, yes, it was a tragic event, and we are hoping that we'll drive safe, obviously children up and those type of things, but we are in the process of training officers so we can fully respond to those things and actually assist other departments. So, other than that, I don't know anything else.
Questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
How are we making out with the new cars?
I'll answer it. Because as soon as I answer it, they'll be down in the shop tomorrow, so they're doing fine. But others are good.
Okay, Director of Community Development, Sharon.
Okay, we have copies of the building and zoning inspectors and SEO reports for Technicon. You can see, especially with the building and zoning activity, that there's a lot going on this month of September. Yeah, so we continue to be very busy with permits and so forth. I did hear back from Steve Sawyer in Cocalico Township about the additional work needed for the traffic signal connection at 272 and Garden Spot Road. Just for anyone who wasn't here, they were not able to install the wiring for that because the existing conduit is full. So at the last time we discussed this, the board agreed that the better way to go with that would be to install another conduit or over the road rather than run the wires up and that signal mast and dangling basically over the road. I did get a message yesterday from Steve saying that the board of supervisors of the township did agree to contribute 50% to that additional cost. So their contribution at 50% would be $6,335.24. So I guess this is a question for Matt. Does the board need to make a formal motion to authorize the contractor CM High to move forward with that additional work that's needed? The traffic signal preemption doesn't work there without that. Board previously approved the cost of the initial installation. I wasn't sure if you would want to see a formal motion, and I didn't get this information in time to get the motion on the agenda within the, outside of the 24 hours, which we're required required to do. Isn't that fair, Ken?
Yeah, he's still there, he's muted at the moment.
Oh,
Matt, did you hear the question? It's RC.
Sorry, I was fumbling with my microphone. You could move to put this on the agenda because of the lateness. The act does allow you to specifically by motion put things on the agenda.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we add to the agenda the CM High conduit repair estimate and cost.
okay, and just so they can have the total,
And I will second that amendment.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on that one? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and we have a second to add that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay, so now we can move.
Now we're ready for the.
Yes.
So this would be a motion to authorize CNI to install another conduit by way of boring under 272. That additional work would be at the total cost of $12,670.49, 50% of which would be paid by Ephrata Township.
So I will make that motion. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that? Yes, sir.
Don Miller, for the road boring, who's responsible for getting the permit? The road crossing, 276.
I did check on that, and apparently PennDOT does not require a permit for that. I checked with John. This is what CM High told me, and John confirmed that.
Just want to make sure, thanks.
If it was, then
We'll make sure we're covered.
yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so
Terrific.
we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, motion carries.
The contractor optimistically had a date held for November 3rd, so that's when that work will be completed. The 897 work is already completed, so that will finish this job, and then whatever needs to happen next will happen next. Okay. And then the other item I have is the wellhead protection zone zoning ordinance amendment. A little bit of background here. In 2003, when the whole new zoning ordinance was written, the township, for the first time, put into the zoning ordinance wellhead protection zones. There are several of them throughout the township, and the dimensions of those, of the radii of those zones, were as recommended by the East Cocalico Township Authority. This past year, the authority had new studies done, reviewing the dimensions that are in their regulations and then subsequently in ours. And the result of that was changes to 8 of the wellhead protection zones. One of them went up and the others were reduced. So this ordinance amendment would bring in line the zoning ordinance with the new authority regulations. Just in case you want specific information, the authority did formally take action on that at their, I think it was their February meeting. At which point they did then convey that information to us. So what, assuming that you're good with those changes, what I would be looking for is a motion to authorize advertisement of the hearing, which we could schedule on November 17th. That would allow all the public notice advertisement requirements to take place that are required by the MPC.
I guess for knowledge purposes, it shows 15 different wellheads on the list here. They are 13 of them are at a 100-foot radius, and then there's 2 more that one is at 210 and the other is 222.4. Those would be well numbers F and F.
Okay, so do we have a motion for that? For advertisement over here?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so that motion is to authorize the advertisement of a public hearing to consider adoption of proposed ordinance 2022-04, amending chapter 220, article 2, section 27D2 of the East Cocalico Township Code of Ordinances by adjusting the radius of the wellhead protection overlay zone to reflect the changes adopted by the East Cocalico Township Authority. So that's the motion by Lorenzo, and I will second that. Any comments or questions? For November 17th, yes. So I'm sorry, I'll add that to that motion. Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, motion carries.
That's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions for our director? Okay. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, finance, Judy.
Yes, good evening.
Evening.
First, I have my usual monthly reports. As of September 30th, the budget status reports for all funds and also the balance sheets for all funds, as well as a subsequent receipt journal for October 1st to October 20th, 2022. But what I'd like to, unless anybody has any questions on those reports, what I'd really like to focus on is the 2021 audit and financial statements. So, we did receive our audit back. We had the same opinion as last year, which is on the regulatory basis, an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that we can receive. And then on the opinion on the government auditing standards, we had the adverse opinion because we do not do full set of financial statements. There was one recommendation. It was not a finding, it was just a recommendation that we should, and this is the same recommendation we had last year, that we should have a formally documented agreement with our information technology provider, Custom Computer. So I did speak with Jason about that, and he mentioned that it is stated on our bills every month, and by paying that bill, we agreed to the contract, and he was going to look into any other municipalities that have the same situation and whether they have findings in their audit, but I haven't heard back from him yet. This is not a finding that I can correct, since I'm not able to enter into contracts So, to fix this finding would be at the pleasure of the board. It would be something the board would need to take care of.
Okay.
Okay. As for the financial statements, so this is a financial report that is required by the state of Pennsylvania, and that's why it is done on a regulatory basis. Let's see. Here it is. So basically what it does is this is year-end results for December 31st, 2021, and we go through balance sheets and revenues and expenses. The first thing is the balance sheet and the cash balances. This is broken down by governmental funds, which include the general fund, the special revenue funds, and the capital projects funds. We don't have any proprietary funds, but we do have fiduciary funds with the developer fund and the 2 pension funds. So just to make this a little easier to look at, I did create an Excel chart so we can see the cash balances, what is in each category. So general fund would include, of course, a general fund, the payroll account, the pool checking account, and the general and police retirement money markets at Univest. Special revenue funds include the light fund, the hydrant fund, the state liquid fuels fund, and the ARPA fund. And capital projects includes recreation, capital reserve, the capital reserve money market at Univest, the traffic impact fund, and also the traffic impact fund at Univest. And again, trust and agency would be the developer escrow or the security deposits, the police pension, and the non-uniform pension. So with all those taken into consideration, we do have $17,317,675 in cash at December 31st, 2022. There are some other assets. The first one is a due from other fund balance that occurred at the end of the year, and that was due from the capital projects funds. It was just a bill that we paid so late in the year that we didn't have time to do the bank transfer before we hit 2022. And also other current assets, that $27,038 is money that developers still owed at the end of the year. Again, just we paid the bill and we didn't have a chance to bill the developers before the end of the year. Liabilities are payroll taxes. The other current liabilities of $40,000 is again financial securities for developers, and then we go down into fund balances for the year. So general fund balance is $2,979,000. Special revenue fund balances $1,069,000. Capital projects $2,644,000, and trust and agency funds $10,323,000. On to revenues. So again, I created a chart just to make this a little bit easier to look at. Here are the revenues by the different funds and the different categories: taxes, permits, interest, grants, one down the line. Total revenue for all funds was $10,151,501. Specifically for the general fund, $6,433,575. And then here is a little chart on how that revenue breaks down. So of our revenue, 71% is taxes, 11% is local shared revenues, which is basically from the school district and from Denver Borough for shared police services, state grants and shared revenues of 10%, licenses and permits of 2%, fees charged for services of 4%, that make up that total. And then the last part of the The DCED report is the expenses for the year. And again, I have a chart just to make this a little easier to look at. So total expenses, all funds is $7,396,275. Just the general fund, $6,015,075. And this is broken down, just about half of our expenses are in public safety. That includes the police department, the fire departments, the ambulance. Next would be employee benefits, cost of general government, just the administration. You can see the breakdown in public works. The streets are 8%, stormwater is 1%, and the sanitation is not even 1%. There's the debt principal is 5% of expenses, interest is 1%. And then if you look at the recreation, 2% of recreation is spent on the pool and 1% on parks. Another part of the DCED report is a debt disclosure. So this is the debt of the township, and the top line, the $1,039,000 is the balance that we still owe on the Denver Road Bridge loan, and the remaining portion of our total debt of $1,303,000 is our lease obligations of $264,129. And you can see our last lease obligation will be paid off in 2024. With the bridge loan being paid off in 2026. And then we have a disclosure chart with our capital purchases. So in 2021, we had total capital purchases of $89,174, $5,640 for general government, $24,635 for the police department, and parks of $58,899. So that is the DCED report. And are there any questions?
Thanks for filling the charts again. Makes it a lot easier to see it.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Judy?
I just have one more thing.
Yep.
I need a motion. Every year with this, we do need to advertise in the newspaper that our audit was done. So I need a motion to approve the advertisement for the legal, concise financial statement in the newspaper. And it's up on the screen, which will appear in the newspaper.
Okay, I can make that. Make a motion to authorize the advertisement of concise financial statement table in the Lancaster New Era newspaper.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay, thanks, Judy. Okay, MS4, Ken, anything?
Yeah, we are working on some revisions to our MS4 contract with farmers. There's minor changes, improvements put into it. Meeting about that this afternoon. John Williamson, T-Bag, their consultant on that. And Sharon was there. And that's underway. We haven't had a decision yet. We're going to do some wording changes in the contract. Last meeting, I worked on the small stormwater project manual, which is being updated to reflect the changes in the new stormwater ordinance passed, so it's consistent with the new ordinance, rather than just being consistent with the old one. Shipped a draft to that one, sheriff, look at. And finally, I'm also gearing up to do some outfall inspections. Outfall is where water or water system actually enters the stream somewhere. And we're required to inspect those as part of our MSP requirements. And those sometimes tend to be easier to do after the leaves fall off. See where they are, some of the brush between the outfall and closest access. So working on that, probably starting in a week or two. And major things other responding to complaints and other sorts of things going on in the issue. That's the main issues that we're working on last time.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. Any questions for Ken? Okay. Okay, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, once again, multiple lists to report on. The first one is a general fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $95,881.46 with a starting date of October 7th to an ending date of October 18th. Is there any questions on that list of bills as presented? Yes, sir.
Don Miller, that's number 63018, Paris Pink Top. 10,046.41, Paris.
That's for one of the cruisers, the insurance company, I believe, paid us and we then reimbursed Barry.
Is that all but the deductible one?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody else? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. Motion carries.
Okay, and then on the second one, we have a light fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $13,261.70 with a check date of October 14th of 2022. Any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. There are no questions. So, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, and then the next one is an electronic payment list of bills in the amount of $89,150.65 for a payroll period of October 12th and a pay period of September 25th to October 8th. Any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
And we've got more. We have a general fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $81,290.92 with a check dated October 19th of 2022. Any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
Then we also have an already approved pension committee meeting in, that was not today, that was yesterday. It's listed as 10/20/22, so that should be 10/19, correct?
Yeah, that's yesterday.
Yes. Okay, let's start over again. an already approved pension committee meeting on 10/19/2022 to approve check payments from the general fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $291,035.60 with checks dated of 10/19/2022. Any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We already agreed.
And we already did approve that.
Yeah, you don't need a motion, that's
correct.
yes.
We had a public
It's
meeting.
It's informational from the public meeting.
You are correct. Thank you for the correction. We had a public pension meeting yesterday where we approved those checks. Already done. Now, we have one more, a late arrival. Judy, would you like to make that presentation in motion?
Sure, this is from the State Liquid Fuels Fund. This is for a 2022 road project. I've been waiting, this is a new vendor, EK Services, and I've been waiting to get W-9 information before I could set up the new vendor. So I have this payment for $504,905.16.
That was for the road bids, contracts that were put out. That number actually came in under bid by a fair amount. It was approved by Mike Nouse from the two associates, as well as the roadmaster. And as Judy said, that was a late arrival. Any other questions on that one? Yes, sir.
What's the fair amount?
I believe the contract amount was what, $540,000.
The net change order was a negative $28,957.84.
Yeah, differences in blacktop and other materials used.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions on that one? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
I believe that's all we have to see there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, management items. So, gentlemen, we had the report that came in from, as we mentioned in the last meeting, we had Element Environmental Solutions come in and do some testing due to some, what we believe was surface mold in one of the rooms. Did you gentlemen have a chance to review that?
I did.
Okay, and your thoughts on that one?
Well, there's several recommendations there that came with it. I guess in a general sense, we should be allowing more fresh air in the building. And there's several recommendations that came with that. I think from my perspective, I'd like to have a little more detail on exactly what that would look like and entail, but what are your thoughts?
As a recommendation, obviously our system, it's not ideal, being that we have a mini split here and a whole bunch of rooftop mini splits per each room. So it's kind of just conditioning what's the air that's in the room. There's no fresh air coming in. And they made a couple recommendations on cleaning the filters of the units out more frequently. They're talking about putting an additional fan in, possibly in the attic. I feel that this is something we should look into. I know we just had Vertex, I think at the beginning of the year, replace all the copper lines to all these units because they were defective. and we covered that cost, hoping to get it back, but we probably ain't gonna happen if they get refunded from the manufacturer of the copper lines. I know the building's old, and we've had a ton of issues with these, with the HVAC. A couple meetings ago, we were talking about actually replacing the compressors to this HVAC system. And we figured, then this popped up, so we had them look at it. So obviously, there are options out there. Possibly we should get, I think we have a contract with Howler, possibly get them out here and get us bids on their recommendations that we got here from Element Environmental of getting more fresh air in here, and possibly getting on like a cleaning schedule for all the units that we currently have in the building as a temporary fix, I'd say, till we get a good game plan.
Yeah, they talked about having screens up at these units with limited filtration. And I guess the thought process was to have a little better filtration.
So what do we do about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms that have high sport counts? And 1, 2, 3 of them that are borderline in the high category.
They gotta get cleaned. Like now,
Like immediately,
like today.
okay?
So I say we have a contract with Howler, correct? Give an action item, possibly to Lisa or Shirley to contact them.
If they know how to clean for the high sport counts.
If they
There's
can't,
2 things that have to be done. One is clean the high sport counts. Second item then is to address the long-term issue, which is the filtration system you and Jeff were describing.
In the meantime, I think it's gotta get cleaned, like that.
Yes.
And then we can come up with a long-term solution.
So one of the other items they had in their report was recommended was aggressive HEPA vacuuming of the carpets on a frequent basis. I don't believe our cleaning company does any kind of HEPA vacuuming of the carpets. So that's a third item we need to look at. Is
A lot of those samples were in the manager's office, which has been closed, I think, from the carpet area, if I read correctly.
Has it ventilated, right?
there's more than that.
Or most of it was here.
No. Yeah, that's, so we need to get those rooms cleaned immediately. We need to get the HEPA, we need a company to come in and do the HEPA vacuuming. The reason I added then the township building expansion to this is because I'm gonna read some of the report in the conclusions. Ceiling mounted HVAC systems do not adequately filter the air, as a number of HEPA filters and air scrubbers need to be installed, as the HVAC system does not provide for any fresh air exchange. Okay, so fundamentally, we're not getting enough fresh air from the outside circulating through the building. The building's just recirculating the old air.
Correct.
I don't know when the building was constructed. So are we throwing good money after bad? And have we hit the law of diminishing returns when this building now probably needs to be completely gutted in terms of its HVAC system? And something to think about. And the Sewer and Water Authority is talking about an expansion on the building.
They are.
Okay? So somebody has to start asking the hard question of fundamentally, If we've hit the law of diminishing returns on this building, why would we be adding to this building? In terms of its age, its repairs, the infrastructure. So we need to, I'm just saying my thoughts, we need to look at that.
In that thought process, does that mean it gets torn down?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any estimates in terms of building a new building. I haven't seen estimates from sewer and water about their addition. I haven't seen estimates for gutting this building and putting in all new HVAC.
I can tell you that because I talked to Scott, Carl, and the architect actually today. They were here. They're gearing up to, they hope to get bids within about a month and a half. But their rough estimate based on their calculations are about $650,000, including the full police department work.
For an addition.
They're separating it out, the bid package out, so that there are sort of add-ons, alternate bids, sort of thing, specifically with respect to the police department. So that's where they're estimating at, or soon as what the bids will actually come in at.
I think that.
But that's their time frame.
That doesn't include anything about addressing
Current issues.
current, let's call it the current building that we need to look at. We need to actually, I think we need to go get bids in terms of what is it going to cost us to redo the entire HVAC system in this building so that we are getting proper airflow. What is that going to cost? What is that going to look like? Then we can do a comparative analysis on what does the addition from sewer and water look like versus a completely new building.
I had brought that up at Smokestown when this came up. Instead of throwing money at the current system, I think we should get that. And if this addition for the water authority is gonna move forward, we can also plan for the HVAC system to be big enough for that addition as well, rather than try to keep piecing things together and we're gonna have a multiple piece system.
So there's a lot to think about there.
But the first and foremost, we gotta get it clean. That's super important.
Okay.
You wanna give an action item to Shirley or?
You can give an action item. Yeah. Shirley, did you get a copy of it?
That's Sharon.
Ah, Sharon. It shouldn't be Shirley, it should probably be Sharon, and then she can.
I mean, I think it's usually Shirley.
It's still in.
She's been handling the administrator there.
Okay.
With Scott, she's been in contact with Scott with testing.
What I'm thinking through though is, could you mention my thoughts to Scott also as you talk to him? Because based on this report, I'm now questioning what's the right thing to do here.
Do you mean in terms of whether or not we're ahead with the addition?
Meaning going ahead with the addition versus doing a comparative analysis on a new building.
I can tell you that time frame wise, they're desperate to get the space because I don't know how much time you spend over there, but Scott's got an area the size of a closet, basically, that he's working in, like the new guy, same thing. I would imagine that they would be very reluctant to have to wait as long as it would take to get a new building constructed and funded, just, you know, putting that thought in is something to consider. They're absolutely desperate. It's not even a situation where, that's a factor.
Short-term fixes sometimes create long-term costs.
Well, if you're talking about replacing a building, what happens to the old one? I think we gotta, this is still quality usable space. Yeah, it needs upgrades, undoubtedly, but I mean, this is the thought process, tear it down. I don't see that.
No, I don't think it would be. The question, you can't answer that question until you have somebody come in here and do an analysis on what is it going to cost to bring the building to current standards for HVAC and air. Can't answer that question.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Alan Maxwell on Zoom has a question.
Alan Maxwell. Just a quick question. You mentioned several times the urgency needed to clean the mold out. Did the report list what types of mold were found? Because everyone is susceptible to mold in different ways, and different molds affect people differently. And if there's a big urgency in getting it cleaned out, is there a need or an imminent danger to public health or employees' health? And should the building be closed until the cleaning is done? A lot of questions in one comment, I know.
It's a 26-page report. It has every single detail related to every single spore available. It's all there. Their report did not recommend that we immediately evacuate the building or we relocate people. So it's all there in the report. To answer your question.
So it's a host of molds too numerous to mention.
It's the molds that they test for that are relevant to this type of building. Aspergillus penicillitis, Basoidisporus, Cladiosporus forum.
There's a bunch of technical names there that are hard to pronounce.
Don't need a science lesson for sure. I was just making sure that there wasn't an imminent risk to public health or employees' health.
This was from Environmental Solutions, which is a professional environmental testing company out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And as I said, it's got 26 pages of absolute detailed analysis, including air sample and surface sampling.
If it wouldn't be safe, we wouldn't be here.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Not a question, just a comment. The easy one is, how old is the building? There's a plaque right inside your office. I think it was built in the late 80s. 85, 89.
Cornerstone House says it's 1989.
Okay, well, I said the late 80s. And you know, the ductwork, this is like your heating system in your car. You can introduce outside air, or you can recirculate the inside air, which keeps it warmer, but all you're doing is circulating all the crap around. So we all know that. And that's why they have cabin filters.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll have Shirley take get that lined up then. So the action items.
Yeah, several action items.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, municipal bid, the Chevy Impala and the Chevy Silverado. Both of those items were placed on municipal bid.
I think they go live tomorrow.
And when do they go
I
live?
think tomorrow, she said.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Okay, so those have been placed out there. Reamstown Pool, discuss the surveys, mail date, and the return date. Okay, so the Reamstown Pool is looking to do a survey. Their survey, they wanted to send out a letter to do a survey of the pool members, and they wanted to get it out as soon as possible. It was dated October 17th, but The enclosed postage paid envelope was by Friday, November 4th of 2022. And we thought that was a little tight. So we have this one for discussion in terms of, I think what we should do first is, do we agree to allow them to send this out? And then the second part of it is make a recommendation to them in terms of asking them to possibly extend that by 30 days to give people time to respond.
I think it's consistent with what happened last year. It's basically the same survey, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
it is, Jeff.
And Del Beans that went out last year, there was a lot of good information that came back.
So I can read it real quick. There's 10 quick questions. It's taking all things into consideration, how would you rate the overall satisfaction with the Reamstown pool? It goes from 1 to 5. In general, how well was the Reamstown pool managed during the 2022 season? In general, how well was the Reamstown pool snack bar managed during the 2022 pool season? During the 2022 pool season, did you participate in any extracurricular activities at the Reamstown pool, i.e. night swim? What are the 3 things you do like most about the Reamstown pool? What are the 3 things you like least about the Reamstown pool? How long have you been a member of the Reamstown pool? Less than 1 year, 2 to 3 years, 4 years or longer? Do you plan on joining the Reamstown pool for the 2023 season? Are you interested in volunteering to serve on the Reamstown Pool Program Committee to discuss extracurricular programs at the Reamstown Pool, including concerts, night swims, and picnics? Please provide any additional comments that you may have regarding the 2022 Reamstown Pool. So yeah, I think those are the same as last year.
And that goes out to the whole membership then, I guess.
Everyone that had a membership. Looking at the calendar, if we put a date that, extend that out to December 5th, that would give us enough time, or that would give the rec board enough time to look at it. They meet on the 13th of December, and then we meet on the 15th. We probably get the results on the 15th if that gives them enough time to turn it around before the end of the year. So if you guys are okay with this, we will just set it as a return of due back on December 5th.
So let's make a motion for that.
Mail them out now, right?
Either recommend them with a change of December 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the mailing of the drafted survey to the 2022 Reamstown Pool Patrons on tomorrow, the 21st, and return date back by December 5th, 2022. I said tomorrow, just as they can do it whenever, as of tomorrow.
As of tomorrow, okay. So I will second that motion. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Thank you.
Lorenzo, you also have an update on the pool repairs there too, or?
Brett sent us an email today, actually. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as we thought. The pool repair, he sent us a whole bunch of pictures of it. It's already patched. It was a pipe, the fitting came apart. I think by the looks of it, it was probably a 2-inch piece of PVC next to the skimmer. It came undone, so we were losing a lot of water. It was following all the stones, and that's why we kept having to add water to the pool every day.
There was a Fernco coupler on there that came loose and they pulled apart.
The road crew repaired the concrete, and per his email, they are working on closing the pool by tomorrow. Everything should be winterized and closed up.
RC.
Yes, sir.
That's why the authority doesn't,
I'm sorry.
okay. That's why the authority doesn't allow firm co-coupling. They don't.
Yeah.
Their code won't allow firm co-coupling for that very reason.
Yeah, and as old as that was, there was one there.
There's a credit picture too.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the appreciation Christmas luncheon. So we have the examples here from Lisa, example number 1, number 2.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. So the board, she's looking for some guidance on which one we prefer.
Number 3.
It's more of an administrative type item in terms of the differences. I actually like that one too.
I like number 3.
I actually like the
Looks like
blue
on
also.
presents. Go ahead and pick that one.
That one,
That's the
number
one
4.
I like.
Can you zoom out?
What do you think?
I like them all. What does it say about the food? I like them all.
All right, Jeff, thoughts? Okay, so.
Motion or recommendation?
No, make a motion. We should make a motion. So I'll make a motion to approve the appreciation Christmas luncheon to be held on Wednesday. Oh, excuse me.
Wednesday, yeah.
You gotta pick a date. Calendar real quick.
Well, wow, it looks like 14th is not available, I think. Dates are the 7th or the 21st. In the past, it's normally been right up close to Christmas.
Yeah, people might be on vacation though.
I think we should do it the 21st.
Probably.
Because if anybody's traveling for family and stuff, I would think they'd probably travel Thursday or Friday. Right? Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the appreciation Christmas luncheon to be held on Wednesday, December 21st of 2022 from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. held at the Reamstown Fire Company pending confirmation that the fire hall is available on that day and on that time.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, I have one item I'm gonna, just before we get to public comment, I have one item I want to bring up. And since Jeff, you brought it up at the beginning, under the meeting minutes, I want to get a couple of things on the record that are clearly identified. So, based on comments made at the last meeting, since the decision to go with a recruit, this is relative to the manager search. Since the decision to go with a recruiting agency, it has been 83 days. Since the job was advertised, it has been 54 days. Since the resumes were received and we reviewed the resumes and all the work that was done, it has been 48 days. 48 days since that occurred. Okay? So, during that time frame, the first firm we interviewed on June 13th was Samaritan Consulting from 8:30 in the morning until 10 a.m. The second firm we interviewed, these would be the recruiting firms, was Herbine Molster from 9:30 to 11 a.m. The third firm we interviewed was on June 14th, Keystone Municipal Solutions, and that was from 11 to 12:30 p.m. The Board of Supervisors spent over 4.5 hours in those interviews combined, taking approximately half to 3/4 of a day away from their time for those 3 interviews, because we felt it was so important, we wanted to get them done immediately. Keystone Solutions was approved by the Board of Supervisors on June 16th. We signed a contract with them on June 22nd. David met from Keystone Solutions, met with the staff for feedback over a 4-day period between June 28th and July 18th. The job was advertised. The staff interviews, again, were to build a profile for exactly what the right candidate would be for this position.
Let me just add to that as well. Dave also talked to each supervisor for a lengthy period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to get feedback from each one of us individually.
Now, not included here are the tens of hours that staff, supervisors, and other people have been involved in the background with this. This has nothing to do with the hours involved. This is strictly the days. Okay? From July 22nd to July 25th, the job was advertised. Resumes were received from July 26th to August 19th, over an 18-day period. From August 20th to August 24th, 5 candidates were left from the phone screening that Keystone Solutions was working with that were selected for interviews. 5 candidates out of the phone screenings. There were many more before that. 5 candidates were interviewed on August 30th. The Board of Supervisors had 6 meetings with 5 interviews from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then again, we were here from 11 a.m. to 12, and we were here again from 4 p.m. until 7 that evening. That also does not account for the time that we spent discussing it after the interviews. Candidate ranking was done on September 1st. Candidate ranking was sent to DK, to David. Second interviews were planned to be scheduled for the week of September 5th for the top 4 candidates. 1 potential candidate withdrew from the process on September 8th. Second potential candidate withdrew from the process on September 9th. On September 23rd, the Board of Supervisors met with our recruiting agency, with Keystone Municipal, and we decided to continue the search at that time. Okay? Also, in conducting research on this, HR has found interviews with the longest interview process in industries such as government, aerospace and defense, energy and utilities, biotech, pharmaceuticals, automotive, supermarkets, private security, restaurant and bars. Okay? Glassdoor does a survey of these industries in general terms. Then they get into many other industries that are much more detailed after that. Government, so industries with the longest interview process is government. On average, just the interview time frame that they're actually interviewing candidates is averaging 53.8 days. So as of right now, East Cocalico Township at 49 days is ahead of the industry average for government. Hoffman Reed is a leading global integrated executive search firm. I'm familiar with that from my old days. Hoffman Reed, their summary clearly states it can take up to approximately 9 months from the point they brief us to their new senior executive's first day on the roll. I think a township manager qualifies as a senior executive. Reading again, if you think you are going to need a senior executive in the next 9 to 12 months, you should be speaking to us now. They're saying it's a 9 to 12 month process. So with that being said, I have a duty and a responsibility, and I have to say this. The comments at the last Board of Supervisors meeting made by members, a member of the public, were reckless, unprofessional comments made about the township manager search that degrade, ignore the efforts of staff and professional organizations working diligently to recruit a township manager, while negatively impacting the morale of all these individuals. Executive level candidates, by their very nature, conduct their own due diligence on a position via the atmosphere of the position, the tone and tenor of the position. In essence, they do a reverse interview. Comments made will undoubtedly only serve to create deeper questions about the position and lengthen the process we're going through. That's my opinion. Okay.
Let me just add to that if I could. I guess I'm not as alarmed by that as what you are, but, from a historical perspective, and, you go back to 2016 or 2017, prior to Scott Russell being hired, the manager position was open for 14 months. At that point, there was a temporary manager here part-time through that time frame, but it took that long, I guess, till Scott Russell came on board as manager. So, there is a history of taking time trying to get the right person. So that's what I would add to that. Is there anything there that I missed?
Looking at my compadre back there. No. Yeah, it did take time, and it should take time. You don't want this thing to be a revolving door. I brought the paper along because I read it in the local paper, Larry's handiwork, and the comments were made by that individual, and it doesn't paint us as a good picture. It just doesn't.
Okay, moving on, public comments for non-agenda items. Again, please clearly state your name so that helps Lisa with the meeting minutes. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Well, after what you just said, I'm not so sure I want to do this, but I'm going to answer. I'm going back, and I'm not going to rehash it. I'm not going to ask for answers. But I've got it. It's been eating at me for the last 18 months. And it will continue to eat at me as a citizen of this township. Now, I wasn't born and raised here, but I consider this my home. I took a lot of pride when we had this, when I was a supervisor in this township, and Alan sat up there with me, and well, a bunch of other people that I was going. But I'm gonna look at Lorenzo, and you wanted this position of police commissioner so badly that you nominated yourself. And yet, when you were asked by me at one of the meetings subsequent to this one, why you wanted the position, you had no answer. But you nominated yourself for the position. I submitted a right to know request having to do with the police disciplinary action, the latest one that was done. And through that, I found out that there were 3 agencies that were involved in that investigation. And those agencies were our own police, our own East Cocalico Township Police Department, the Lancaster County DA's office, and the Attorney General's office of Pennsylvania. I want to tell you people, if you don't understand something, the Attorney General gets involved, it's serious. They don't play games. They're not here to settle, you got 4 marbles and I got 3. It gets real serious when they get involved. And yet, the gentleman that holds the position of police commissioner couldn't even vote on that issue. I'm gonna say it, I shouldn't, but I'm gonna say it. There's something stinky going on. I smell something I don't like because of those actions or non-actions. Al and I both sat in the position of police commissioner, and it's not a thing that you take lightly, and you're asked to do things that you don't always like to do, but you gotta make a decision. The world doesn't function on people that just say, I don't wanna do anything. It doesn't function that way. We had to make some decisions over the years that I didn't like, and I know Al didn't like them either, but that goes with the territory. As far as I'm concerned, Lorenzo, you have compromised yourself and the position of police commissioner of East Cocalico Township. And I'm going to ask these other 2 gentlemen on the board, I'm going to look you both in the eye. I feel this guy ought to be removed from that duty because he can't handle it. He can't handle it. He can't handle the truth, like the movie said, and he can't handle the job. I would expect an answer from that board by the last meeting in November on what you're going to do. It's just, he's doing an injustice to the township.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Don Miller. Going back to probably a couple meetings ago, there was discussion about, I believe we're on private guidelines or employee handbook about vehicle accidents for any vehicle in the township. So we just discussed about $10,000 of repairing a cruiser. I don't know what the policy is as far as the township. I know where I work, if there's an accident, you're usually going to get tested. Were they tested, weren't they tested? Were they investigated, weren't they investigated? Whether it was a cruiser or a road crew member. And to add to that, all vehicles for the township, I would believe, should have GPS monitoring on it, along with front-facing cameras. For the safety of each individual person, for the safety of the officers, and you can go back and look at historical stuff. If there is a harsh stop, why was there a harsh stop? I can't find that person, where's that person at? I have it on my vehicles, I have it in my vehicle at work, and I don't use it all the time to go look at history to investigate someone, but when there's an incident, I go look at it and research it. It's going to cost money, but it could save money for insurance purposes also. So, since it was on the book today, I just thought I'd bring it up again, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Stephanie Santoro, in conjunction with what Mr. Heather just said, I have requested a meeting with the three of you, which was approved. That involves one of those said incidents, and I would like to know when it's actually going to take place.
We have,
I think we gave you 2 dates with early morning times, and you replied it wasn't okay. I'd be okay if my board's willing. We can meet right after the meeting. I don't have a problem with that. If my board's okay with it.
It's not a 5-minute session.
We have no solicitor
Well, perhaps then, if it's not a 5-minute discussion, if you'd like to reply to that email with some dates and times,
could you propose a couple of dates?
propose a couple of dates and we'll make it happen.
It's not 7:30 in the morning.
Propose a time then.
Could you please propose a couple of dates? And just keep in mind, though, the calendar, because of we have the budget meetings, workshop meetings all coming up, okay?
And they're listed on the calendar as well.
Yeah, they're on the calendar for the township. So they're Tuesday, Monday, and Thursday.
Those are dates when all three of us are in the building. We have to know ahead of time and schedule the solicitor.
Right, so we could do something right before it, right after it.
That's why we had 8 o'clock meetings. We have time ahead of time.
Okay? Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none.
Alan Maxwell on
Yes, sir.
Zoom. I wanted to first thank you for the time and effort you put into providing all that data at the start of this in regards to the manager search. It is good information to know from a resident in the township's point of view. To clarify, my comments were my opinion as a resident of the township from the outside looking in, not being privy to all the information that you folks sitting up there are privy to. All we as residents can do is go by the information provided to us and the appearance of what we see. The data is very helpful to know and understand, and I appreciate that. But also what needs to take place is we need a high number of candidates to interview in order for us to find the right candidate in any length of time. 5 candidates in the time period you provided seems to be very low, in my opinion. With that being said, do we have an update in the past 2 weeks? Have we found any more candidates? Have we interviewed any more candidates?
Let me just clarify part of your statement there. There was more than 5 candidates. If you heard, there was quite a few that were screened out that were not suitable for us to meet with. That's
understood.
What Keystone Municipal, one of their functions. So there was quite a few bit more than 5.
I should have been more clear in what I meant as far as 5 interviewed. Obviously, to get to 5, there's got to be quite a bit more of candidates to review.
Mr. Maxwell, you stated at the last meeting, quote, others in the township are willing to do the job. So that tells me you know that who these other potential candidates are. Could you please contact our HR office and provide those individuals' names? We're willing to look at resumes and candidates at every level. You also indicated that there are plenty of qualified candidates out there. Again, could you please contact Shirley in HR and let her know who those candidates are that are interested? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, announcements. Tuesday, October 25th at 8 a.m., there will be a supervisors workshop meeting. That will be budget related. Tuesday, October 25th at 7 p.m., there will be the the Cocalico area leaders meeting in West, and that will be at West Cocalico Township. Again, that is the meeting that is with East Cocalico, West Cocalico, Adamstown, School District, and Denver. On Monday, October 31st at 8 a.m., there is another supervisors workshop meeting, budget related. And then on Thursday, November 7th at 7 p.m. November 3rd, thank you, Lorenzo. On Thursday, November 3rd at 7 p.m., there will be the Board of Supervisors meeting. Okay? And we do not have a need for an executive session for tonight. Okay? So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you everyone for coming.
Three signature on here.